Participants Jordan argues for universal basic income. Morgan argues against UBI or urges strong caution. Jordan: when people hear universal basic income, they often imagine a huge price tag and everyone quitting their jobs. But the best evidence we have doesn't show a mass exodus from work. In programs where cash is broadly distributed, overall employment doesn't collapse. What we do see, consistently, are gains in well-being, reductions in stress and financial volatility, and fewer administrative hassles that trap people in poverty. Morgan: I don't dispute that cash helps people in hardship. The question is whether universal cash is the best policy. History offers a warning. When income guarantees are unconditional and permanent, some groups work less at the margin. That may be rational for the individual, but scaled up it affects productivity, tax bases, and the cost of the program. If you're trying to lift the most people per public dollar, universality can be an expensive way to reach those who need help the least. Jordan: work incentives are about design, not destiny. A UBI can be paired with tax rates and earnings disregards that keep take-home pay rising with work. And there are broader economic channels that critics miss. When everyone gets a predictable floor, local demand stabilizes. People can take smarter risks, switch jobs, start a business, train for higher productivity work, because they're not terrified of missing rent. That dynamic effect doesn't show up if you only look at the first-order labor supply response. Morgan: dynamic effects shouldn't be a blank check. The track record shows modest changes in employment at best, not the growth surge UBI supporters promise. Meanwhile, the fiscal math is daunting. A truly universal payment large enough to matter implies either substantially higher taxes or cuts in other programs. Once you start layering conditions, higher taxes, means-tested clawbacks, you drift away from the simplicity that makes UBI politically attractive, and you recreate the very cliffs in bureaucracy UBI was supposed to eliminate. Jordan: simplicity is still a powerful advantage. Complex means testing is costly to administer and often misses eligible people. A universal floor guarantees coverage and destigmatizes help. It also reduces time wasted proving deservingness. Think about caregivers, gig workers, people between jobs, students, the informally employed. UBI reaches them automatically. And the mental health improvements are not trivial. Reducing chronic stress can raise productivity indirectly. Morgan: I'm sympathetic to simplification, but if the goal is to maximize poverty reduction per dollar, a targeted credit or negative income tax style benefit will dominate a universal payment because it concentrates resources on low-income households. You can still automate eligibility using tax data or real-time payroll links to cut red tape. With targeting, you avoid writing checks to high-income households who don't need them, and you keep the program affordable and politically durable. Jordan: targeting sounds tidy until you confront volatility and churn. People's incomes jump around month to month. Many fall through the cracks precisely when they need help. And targeted systems can punish work at the margin, earn a bit more, and you lose benefits. So families face high effective tax rates. A universal floor softens those cliffs. It says, no matter what, here is your base. You can then tweak taxes for progressivity, but the payment itself remains simple and predictable. Morgan: another concern is opportunity cost. If we devote hundreds of billions to UBI, what do we not fund? Childcare, housing supply, mental health care, disability services, wage subsidies. These are targeted interventions with strong evidence of impact. Some problems are not primarily about a lack of cash in the household. They're about missing public goods or market failures. Spending on those areas might deliver more social return than a check to everyone. Jordan: that's fair. UBI isn't a silver bullet, but cash is unusually flexible. Households allocate to their highest priorities, which vary widely. A student might cover transport and internet. A parent might pay for childcare hours that unlock work. Someone with health issues might buy time to stabilize. Central planners can't anticipate all those margins. And we shouldn't ignore resilience. A modest, guaranteed floor cushion shocks, which reduces downstream costs in health, homelessness, and criminal justice. Morgan: let's talk political economy. Once universal cash exists, it's hard to scale back, regardless of the business cycle or productivity growth. If growth underperforms or demographics shift, you face pressure to cut other programs or raise taxes further. A targeted system can adjust benefits with unemployment or income conditions. It's more responsive and costs less in expansions. Jordan. Or you can design UBI with automatic stabilizers, a core floor plus a cyclical top-up during downturns, financed by counter-cyclical bonds or windfall revenue rules. We already do this implicitly through emergency relief. UBI would just formalize it. For the long run, pair UBI with productivity policy, training, R&D, immigration of skilled workers, so the economic pie grows as we share it. Morgan. Even if we accept some universal cash, size matters. A small, sustainable dividend funded by natural resource rents, carbon revenues, or a narrow tax base poses different risks than a large benefit requiring broad new taxes. The former might be neutral for work and helpful for stability. The latter could tilt incentives and crowd out high-return public investments. Jordan. I'm open to starting small and scaling with evidence, but we shouldn't move the goalposts. If we observe gains in well-being, lower administrative burden, and no dramatic employment losses, that's a policy worth keeping and refining. Combine a modest universal floor with targeted add-ons for disability or childcare, plus tax progressivity at the top. That hybrid can thread the needle. Simplicity, dignity, and fiscal realism. Morgan. My bottom line, cash helps, but universality is the sticking point. Targeted programs can deliver more impact per dollar and avoid paying those who don't need it. If the worry is volatility and stigma, fix administration and design phase-outs to preserve work incentives. Reserve truly universal checks for small dividends funded by stable, dedicated revenue. Jordan. And mine. Universality is a feature, not a bug. It ensures coverage, slashes bureaucracy, reduces stigma, and builds political durability. With sensible tax design and complementary growth policies, a universal floor can support both dignity and dynamism. Let's test, measure, and iterate. But don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Morgan. Then perhaps we can agree on a roadmap. Pilot scale-appropriate universal floors. Measure labor supply, well-being, and local economy effects, and compare them head-to-head with targeted expansions. Where universality proves cost-effective, keep it. Where targeting delivers more, do that instead. Jordan. Agreed. Evidence first, ideology second. The point isn't to win an abstract argument. It's to build a system that reliably reduces poverty and expands opportunity.